Alcohol. It's been there for almost all of humanity's existence, ever since that one caveman thought it would be a good idea to eat those grapes that had been on the ground for God knows how long. It was also the first time that people said the sentence, "Hey, watch me do this backflip." And coincidentally, the first time that someone did a backflip off of a cliff. Now, alcohol doesn't exactly have the best reputation when it comes to behaving rationally. Or behaving at all, really. If you're drunk, you can't drive, you can't walk, and you definitely can't fight in a war. You see, most of the wars we've fought have all been successful. Just for the small price of a few thousand soldiers, countries have gotten lots more land and money. And also PTSD and broken families and, let's just focus on the first two. That sounds pretty successful to me. But what happens when you throw alcohol into the mix? Well, without further ado, let's talk about the British army that drunk itself to death. Our story begins in the 1600s. George Villiers and Edward Cecil were two military commanders to King Charles of England, and apparently they weren't that happy with the thousands of pounds they were getting at such a high position. This was also the time when most of the population was either dying of starvation or disease, but it's fine, we all struggle with different things. So these two cunning commanders hatched a plan to get more money by doing what a military commander was best at doing, and that is starting an international war between two of the biggest empires in the world, killing thousands of people and causing years of hatred between the two countries. But hey, at least the two of them will have fun. So they set out to the king to get funding for the war. "Hey Charlie, my boy, hey, how's it going? Listen, if you had to go to war with someone, who would it be?" Where is this going? Okay, I've got a business proposition. How about this? You give me money, and I start a war with Spain. You've had some good ideas in the past, but what the fuck is wrong with you? I know how this sounds, but imagine when you win. You'll be the fierce, brave king that everyone respects, and England will be the greatest nation in the world. And maybe I'll get some extra cash too, but focus on the first part. You want everyone to respect you, right? Well, yeah, I do like it when I get credit for a battle that I didn't even fight in. You know what? I'm in. But although the king might have been on board with this plan, the British Parliament wasn't. Cecil and George didn't get the funding they needed, but they still managed to recruit around 15,000 soldiers and 100 ships to fight in this war, which should be enough, right? Besides, this wasn't even an original idea. England had the same plan and did the same attack a few decades earlier, to a Spanish city called Cadiz, and that was actually successful. So the king looked at that and said, well, if it worked the first time, let's just do it again. But if we attack the same place with the same plan and the same weapons, don't you think they'll be ready for us? I mean, they've had like 30 years to prepare. Well, 30 years is a long time. I mean, they've probably completely forgotten who I even am. Ah yes, King Charles. I remember that guy perfectly. And if he ever tries to attack this city, I'm gonna kill him. We could probably walk into Cadiz right now and nothing would even happen to us. Don't worry, the plan's gonna work. It was basically the equivalent of if a game studio made one good game and then kept re-releasing it every year, pretending it was brand new. I'm looking at you, EA. Now Cecil might have had a pretty strong army on the surface, but if you looked any closer, you'd realize that it was like a 24/7 McDonald's at 4 AM on a Saturday. Everyone's there just for the paycheck, and it's probably 2 minutes away from completely falling apart. Many of the soldiers weren't actual soldiers, but just random dudes who lived nearby. Cecil probably visited their homes and said, "Hey, I want you to help me attack Spain. 14 days, in and out. What do you say?" "Wait, you're gonna attack Spain?" "Yep. In 14 days? Well, funding was a bit low, so we only have food for 14 days, so better make it quick or you'll starve to death. So I'm either gonna die in the battle or die from hunger." "Yes." "Screw it, I'm in." I'm sure having just 2 weeks of food for an international battle won't cause any problems in the future. Cecil's boats weren't in the best shape either, so this was basically the DIY low-budget version of an actual war. And just like every DIY project that I've ever attempted, it very quickly went to complete shit. They set sail on the 5th of October, but went back because of bad weather. They sailed again on the 7th, but again, bad weather made them turn back. Now at this point, most people would have probably given up. I mean, if God himself is literally causing a natural disaster to stop you, maybe it's not the best idea to keep going. They did find some Spanish ships full of valuable cargo that they could have easily stolen, but hey, look at this. Aren't those the Spanish ships? The ones we want to steal? Huh, I guess they are. So, aren't we gonna rob them? I mean, we could, but I spent so long making this plan to attack Cadiz. We can't just let that go to waste. But they're right there. It'll take us like 2 minutes max, and we'll get so much money out of it. I don't know. Ransacking a boat just doesn't feel the same. They're not gonna be there forever, so if we're gonna do it, we gotta do it quick. Okay, fine, I guess we'll do what you want. Okay, let's go attack those ships, and they're gone. Huh, would you look at that? I guess we're doing my plan after all. But Cecil and George persisted. They set out again on the 24th of October, probably because sailing on a prime number wasn't really working out for them. And this time, they actually managed to reach Cadiz. The ships were split into two groups. The bigger one was going to attack the city, while the smaller one was going to attack this fort slightly outside Cadiz that belonged to the Spanish military. Why? I don't know. I mean, if you're gonna go all the way to Spain for an attack, might as well just flex on them a little bit. Now the thing about forts is that they're usually made of very thick and heavy layers of stone and brick. So this was basically a battle between a bunch of ping pong balls and 20 tons of reinforced concrete. And it went as well as you can imagine. Are those English ships coming towards us? I guess they are. Hey, why are you guys here? Well then, that was quite the introduction. I guess we'll do the same. The British spent hours firing all the artillery they had at the Spanish fort, but it only took a few well-placed cannonballs to pretty much decimate the English ships. But they held strong, and after a long fight, the English managed to get the Spanish to retreat from the fort and stop attacking them. Finally, the English had an actual chance to succeed. Well boys, we've reached the shores of Cadiz. You know, maybe this attack wasn't really planned out that well, and maybe we didn't have enough food and money to actually make this work properly. And maybe we just lost most of our ships and soldiers and only 10 of us are actually here. I forgot where I was going with this. But the point is, we still have each other. And we're gonna take this city over if it's the last thing we do. Yeah, this was basically like spending 5 hours fighting a boss in a video game and barely making it out alive, only to realize that that was level 1 out of 100, and you're completely naked, and all the bosses are Spanish. As you can tell, the British were completely fucked. All of them were taken as prisoners and that was the end of that. Meanwhile, remember that other group of ships that was attacking the city? Well, they did manage to reach the city pretty successfully, but remember how they only had food for 2 weeks? Well, this was the 1600s, where the next town over was basically on the other side of the world, so going to Spain needed a lot of preparation and money, which were the exact two things that the English army didn't have. Basically, by the time that the army reached the shores of Cadiz, they were thirsty and starving, and the city of Cadiz was the 24/7 McDonald's with free refills and a working ice cream machine. Okay, we finally made it to Cadiz. Let's get this invasion started. What's wrong? This is the entire reason why we came all the way here. Yeah, but we're so hungry. We haven't eaten in weeks. Yeah, I might have severely underestimated how far away Spain was. You know what? We'll take a little lunch break. Go around the city and eat whatever you find. Now this would have worked out great. I mean, what's the point of ransacking an entire city and killing its residents if you're not even gonna try some of the local food? But then the soldiers found a huge wine cellar. No, you're not gonna have any of that. I don't pay you guys to get wasted. You don't pay us at all. Yeah, that's true. Okay, you know what? You can have 1 glass. But 1 glass only. Oh boy. The army commanders let their soldiers drink only a liter of wine as a little treat. But turns out, it was a lot harder to control an army of hungry drunk guys than they thought. They reached their 1 liter limit pretty fast, and then proceeded to break into the wine cellar to get some more. In no time, every single person in the army, except the commander, was completely and utterly wasted. The commander decided the best thing to do would be to break all of the wine barrels to prevent them from drinking any more of it. So the army decided to save as much of the wine as possible. Bottles, bowls, hats, even themselves. Any and every vaguely container-shaped thing was filled with the flowing river of wine. And that's exactly when the Spanish army showed up. Oh hey, yeah. Come on soldiers, let's go attack them. Yeah, it was a total disaster. But on the bright side, the Spanish didn't fire a single shot at the English. How nice of them. They just cut them all up using their swords. The soldiers who managed to survive went back to England on the 1 ship they had remaining, but most of those guys died because of diseases too. In total, around 7,000 English soldiers died, with the Spanish army barely lifting a finger. So yeah, that was the story of how the British army drunk itself to death. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe, hit the bell, leave a comment, and watch another video by clicking right here. I'll see you guys later.